Hello and welcome to this week's TDM Talk Show. To give you a little bit of background of today's guest, he is born in Rome, Italy. Maestro Aurelio Porfiri is a music composer, conductor, organist, and author, currently based in Macau. And Maestro Porfiri was an organist in the famous St. Peter's Basilica in Vatican City, as well as other notable churches in Italy. And he has published 6 books, more than 200 articles, and his music compositions are published in Italy, Germany, USA, and France. And he came to Macau in 2008. Now he is the director of choral activities and composer in Santa Rosa de Lima Secondary School, and a director of musical activities for Our Lady of Fatima School. And Maestro Aurelio Porfiri, thank you for joining us in the talk show today. And it's interesting that you're actually born in Italy and that now that you're in Macau. So what's the reason that brings you over here in the region?
So, as you mentioned, I arrived in 2008 because I was invited by a local institution to be associate professor of music. And so this was the beginning of my adventure, we can say, in Macau.
And so what do you enjoyed most in the past few years in terms of professionally and personally?
Yes, I have to say that the thing that I will always consider as the most rewarding is when I see the eyes of my students when they can perform well a very difficult piece, and then they feel so satisfied and they look at me like to say, oh, we can do this. So to see that I'm able to bring my students to a level that for them is probably unprecedented, so this is really for me the biggest satisfaction.
That's very good to hear. And what has been keeping you occupied in the past few months?
Yes, that's a very difficult question because I would need maybe 1 hour to answer about all the things I've done. But just to summarize some of the things, in October we performed a concert about Western composer in Macau, featuring the work of Father Maberini, another Italian working in Macau in the 20s as a missionary, Father Schmidt, that was also another missionary from Austria, Father Castro, Portuguese, but I live in Macau for many years, and myself. This was in October. Then in December, we have our Christmas celebration in Santa Rosa de Lima. And then I perform again my musical about the apparition of Our Lady of Fatima called A Mother's Heart, with lyrics by Father James Libner. This was done by Our Lady of Fatima Girls' School Choir. And then very recently, in February 21, there was a concert all about my music, and where it was performed for the first time my Missa pro Defuntis, the Mass I write for my parents. And then we record CDs, we record DVD, we make, so it's really a very long story.
So you have been very, very busy from then on. And can you share with us also what is your thought about the word education?
The word education, what should be the word education? The education, ex ducere, comes from Latin. It means to taking out things from our student. But sometimes what we are doing, also in Macau, often, is that we try to put inside them many notions that they will forget in a few days. So what I really think education should be, it should be to discover the potential and the talent of each individual student.
What about music then?
Yes, music is even more complicated because, as I say, music, I say that music is a sublime form of knowledge, of communication, but because being so sublime, so really does not know. So what's the meaning of this? Of course, music is communication, but it's not communication in the way now we are communicating. You can tell me, open the door, it's okay, and I will open the door, but you cannot tell me with the music. So it means, but music indeed communicates something, you feel something. So music is really a form of communication that brings us close to some spiritual world. I don't say spiritual only in the Christian sense, but spiritual in the big sense, on spiritual world that, I mean, give us a taste of eternity. Maybe if I may add something about this, the Greek, they have two ways to call time. One is chronos, one is aion. Chronos is like the daily time, you know? And aion is the time of eternity. Yes, we say that with music, we are able to feel the aion, even if we live in the chronos. So we are always, this is why musicians have always, or artists, so troubled life, you know, because we are always in the verge of this abyss that is art and music. And so, because we are very limited, so we can not really stand to be in this, John Paul II, in the letter to the artists, called this abyss of light. So we try to be in this abyss of light, but because we are limited, of course, we are overwhelmed. So this is why then we are doing very
So
bad
artists,
things.
the way they express is also different from one to another.
Very
as well.
different, very different.
And what's the most exciting thing that actually happened in the music education today?
Yes, I would say for sure that is the study from neurologists of how the brain perceives music. I think all of this new frontier of the study of the brain and how the brain makes sense of music, I think is the more interesting, because let us understand how our teaching can also be more effective.
And music can also start from the age when you're born to the age when you're actually old as well.
Of course, you know, there are studies that also show that if someone is pregnant, also the child can listen the music even before coming out in the world. So it's really, music has a so deep and profound influence on the way we are, that I really think that this new frontier of music education, that is, they call it neuromusicology, will really bring a lot of good fruits for the actual daily teaching of music.
Interprets from the brain towards the emotion, yes, and everything.
The brain. Indeed, you may remember that our previous meeting was exactly for this reason, because I organized years ago a conference about brain and music. Because I really think that this is something that will give us a lot of very important insight on how to make sense of music and how to make our teaching more effective.
Oh, I see. And music education may be a mission-critical element for music activities director like yourself. And why is this important to you personally?
Yes, because as I mentioned, I think music education is not just about teaching to play Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star. I mean, that you can do it in half an hour. But it's really to discover the talent and the potential of each student through music, because music allows students to face their own emotional world, and through music they can represent, is what Aristotle also say, you know, that music it gives us what he call a catharsis. I mean, let us to face some feelings that then will live in our daily life. So I really think this is very important, and I can say this is hugely important, especially in a society like the Chinese society, where, if I can say this as a foreigner, I can see that the young people are not encouraged to express emotions. But this is something not bad, because we are emotional people. We are not computer. We are not computer. So I think musical activities are really critical for the full development of the integral human being.
I see. And for students, I mean, those who are studying music, what do they gain?
Of course, they gain that they discover what they are. You know, I think there is nothing more important than this. Paul VI, he speaks many times in his documents about the integral man. The integral man, it means we are not only rational being. We are rational, but we are also, rooted in our emotional world and feelings, in something that is beyond us. So music really helps us to put us in contact with this world that is not irrational in a negative sense. I mean, it's just beyond rational. universal. So it doesn't mean it's something negative. So I really think, especially in society, where maybe the emotions are not encouraged, like for example in Italy, you see Italians, so they say, oh, Italian always move the hands, or this, and it's true also. If you say like this is right, but especially in society where this part is not encouraged, music can be of really critical importance.
So what's the right approach, I mean, in your view, in terms of this region's music education?
When we speak about music education, we need to at least have clear one point. The students, when they speak about music education, it means studying Western music education. I mean, they want to study, I don't know, Bach, Mozart, Beethoven, Schubert, Mendelssohn. So I think that, of course, they should have a knowledge about their own musical tradition, of course. And in this, of course, Chinese teachers are in the best position to teach them, because myself, I have a knowledge of Chinese music, but my knowledge is very limited, so I cannot really be of great help. I mean, I can say something, but for the Western music education, so I would say that probably you should be more open to the teacher from Western countries, because they probably are in the best position to teach about Western music. Because, as I say always, and not to be offensive on this, but Western music is called Western, is Western. And this is music, as you know, is not just about music. Yeah. I give you an example. When I was very young, I liked very much Bruce Lee, very much. I saw all the movies in Italy, I remember, and I do all these things, Kung Fu. But I remember then I want to study martial arts. But then I've understood later, readings, that indeed in martial arts it's not just about the technique or the fight, but there is a very big philosophy and thinking. And this philosophy is really something that can be understood fully by an Asian person, because it has to do with the Asian view of the world, So I have to say the same for the Western music. Western music, of course, everyone can play very fast the technique, but in the music that you have to understand the philosophy, the theology, the history, the religion. There is a lot that is implied in music. So if you want really to have a high standard music education, you have to rely on the people that come from the culture that produce that kind of music. So as I told you, it is not to be offensive, it's just a fact. If you look the good university in the area and you look their music department, half of the faculty at least, they are foreigners. If they teach Western music. Of course, if they teach Chinese music, it's understandable that they are all Asian or Chinese or whatever. So for me, it's just a fact. I mean, it seems to me really also weird that I have to explain you this, because I think it's very logic. So if you want to have a high education, music education, you have to rely on the people that are trained in the culture that produce that kind of music.
So music is related to the culture as well.
Course,
it follows hand in hand.
Of course. You cannot understand Verdi or Puccini or Bach or Mozart or whatever if you don't understand which philosophy, which kind of thinking, which kind of culture produce those composers.
So in that sense, how and what techniques do you use to motivate students who are studying music?
This will require a long answer, but to make it short, I would say that I just make them to feel that they can be very good. And when they feel that there is someone trusting them, they can do things no one asked them to do before, because the people say, oh, they cannot do this, they cannot do this. I say, they can do this. When they know that I, the foreigner, I'm trusting them so much, they blossom, they flourish. Because
so it's the confidence that you're giving to them.
The best technique is to love them, to love them and to want them to be the wonderful human being they potentially are, and to discover the potential of their creativity. The great problem I can see really here in Macau, but also in China, is that there is this thing of monetize everything, you know. So the students, they study 2 years piano just because then they want to teach and then make money from this. I think this is really the worst approach for the music quality, because if money, I mean, is the final outcome, of course the quality cannot be what it is. Of course there is nothing bad in that you want to make money also. I mean, you can become rich, very rich, no problem. But you can observe all the people that become rich and they change the world is because they have a dream first. They have a dream. You look Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs, he became hugely rich, but also he has this dream to bring personal computer to everyone, and he has this yearning for elegance. You know, in his young year, he studied calligraphy, and he was really amazed by the elegance of calligraphy. So this is the people that make also money, but because first they have a dream. Or you look Mark Zuckerberg. I mean, what was his dream? I want to connect all the world, and then he created Facebook. I mean, and then of course now he's hugely rich. But if your God is money, then the outcome will always be
start with the passion.
Exactly. So if you don't cultivate the passion, I mean, of course they can become rich, but then the quality will always be very mediocre. So what I'm trying to explain to my students, and what I want them to feel is, you are a very creative person. Unfortunately, this society don't encourage your creativity. Don't encourage your thinking out of the box. Remain like this, maybe go abroad, make experience, and try to develop the talent you have. Because, you know, I have students in my school, they are really talented, but then they lost their talent because here there is not the right environment to express this talent. Why? You know, this, please don't ask me now, because it would be a very long answer and very difficult to explain. But for sure, I listened to the chief executive that said that he wants to encourage talents, you know, the talents. Or that's a very good thing. But maybe we should talk what is the best way to encourage these talents to blossom and flourish.
So if given a chance to actually change, then what would you change in music teaching in Macau?
Yes, so if you give me a chance, I will ask you another chance, because it will be a very long thing, painful, because as I told you, the music teaching is not the problem. The problem has to do with the society. And it is music teaching.
And also the culture. The
culture has to do with, and also, you know, Macau is like a village in a certain way. You know, so that make everything not so easy for people that want to have a space, because it's like a village. So sometimes there is this kind of clan's behavior. You know, you have to be part of this or that clan to. But so I think what I will do is for sure to give more space to people coming from outside that can bring here fresh ideas, and they are not conditioned by the constraints that the local culture give to, I mean, to some local people.
Maestro, what about your advice on bringing Macau's music education to a higher level?
Yes, to bring music education to a higher level, Macau should do like Hong Kong, bring foreign teachers.
So you think it's
I'm
important
speaking about Western music education, right? I don't speak about Chinese, of course. Yes. Chinese, no, Western music. But you know, this is, as I told you before, is a very logic thing.
But do you think it's limited? I mean, in terms of Western...
It's not so easy. Not so easy, really. I mean, I'm lucky because I'm supported by the school I'm working, and there are some people in Macau really support me, and they really, I mean, even I have to say some people from the government show support of me and my work, but for a foreigner now, I mean, now, I don't know in the past, but now it's not so easy. Not so easy because the local culture is not open, is a very difficult to survive in the local scene, musical scene.
So you think what can be done, I mean, to attract all these foreign talents?
What can be done is to welcome them, to put them to work in the best way, and to give them the possibility to make the changes that need to be done, because
to accept people coming from abroad,
exactly.
so that exchange ideas.
Exactly. I think, you know, this in Hong Kong is quite natural, but I can see.
But it's not happening here in Macau.
I mean, not in the culture. I mean, maybe in other parts. I don't know. I don't know the gambling. This because I'm not expert about this. But in the culture, I mean, it's not so much. But this is the problem. The same with mainland China. You know, that there is always. I always have this kind of. I'm surprised when I go, for example, to China, and you go to the custom, and then they say, I don't know, mainland Chinese and foreigners.
Foreigners.
No, there is this very strong idea about I am Chinese, you are foreigner. You know, if you go in other countries, maybe also in Macau, you find visitors. Maybe also some more nicer way to say.
Okay.
And when I go, I remember to Shanghai, I go to the music store. For example, in Italy, if you go to a music store, you find, I don't know, Italian music, and then you find international music or world music. They write foreign music. I mean, there is this very strong delimitation
they have a line
between what is Chinese and what is foreigner. So I think this is one of the questions. I mean, you should be, you should study history and understand that to develop things, you always may need help from people coming from outside. Even in Italy, when we have our great Renaissance music, it's because we open to the Flemish coming to Italy, teaching us the counterpoint, and then our composer developed the school. But I mean, we need them. A more recent example, I like very much soccer, like Italians, you know? And I remember when I was very young, our soccer team, they cannot get foreigners. All Italian players, okay? And I remember in the time, Italian teams, they never win anything, never. In 1 year, the federation decided to open to foreign players. And then some people protest and say, no, now they come, so there is no space for us.
For a blah, 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 outsiders.
They introduced the soccer player, I mean, among them, very famous like Maradona or Zico. And then I think 3-4 years after, the Italy national team won the World Cup. Why? Because of course this soccer player have so good models, and so they develop also themselves. So that's my point. You need very good models so that the people here also is inspired to find their own way. And in music, so I'm not speaking about other areas, but in music, if we speak about Western music, we have never to forget that it's true that it's music, but most is Western. Right. So as it's ingrained in Western culture.
So what about students who are studying abroad? I mean, they go to Western countries and they study music, and probably they should come back and contribute back to the region. So what do you think that the officials in the region should do in order to bring back the local talents?
You know, when the students go study music abroad, that is something that of course is very good. And one has to ask why they want to study abroad first. Second, what I would do is to create for them a very lively music environment where everyone can contribute with their talents, even if you are not part of any clan or every particular group. So I think this is what should be Macau because of its heritage. Macau should be, of course, open to this blending between East and West.
Yes,
West and East. Yep. So I think this should be Macau. It's like this Macau now, probably I don't have this impression. So to create a nice environment. Why most of the composers of Macau, I mean, they live abroad. Why? Domi Lem was born in Macau, but he lived in Hong Kong. Lam Ban Chin, she was born in Macau, but she lived abroad. But even in the past, Shang Xinhai, the very famous composer born in Macau, he go to France and then go to China. Why? Someone told me, I cannot say the name, but he was a professor. He said, Macau is not able to keep good people. That's the problem. I mean, so if you ask me, of course, I have my idea, but probably the leadership should ask themselves why the people don't think that developing a music career in Macau is not worthy. And I can see myself, I mean, I am very lucky that there is internet. So through internet, I can spread my things all over the world. So many people know about me because of internet. But if I have to rely on the environment of Macau, I will be unknown. That's the reality.
So it's the opportunity that opens up.
Yeah, there are no opportunities. We say like this. Here, there are no opportunities. I mean, not real opportunities to develop a real career. If you are not part of certain ethnic group, you know, that really there are not.
Does it mean that it will be very difficult for a person to study music and to be successful in music in this region? I mean, they will have to go through.
If you mean the region, you mean the whole China. Of course, in China, there are bigger cities.
But
and
in
things.
Macau,
in Macau, I told you, Macau is a very like a village-like place. So in Macau, it's not so easy because the positions are limited, and as I mentioned, the cultural level is at the moment. So I don't mean in the future, I don't know, but at the moment is not so lively. That is, I mean, attractive for someone to come. I mean, of course, I'm here, but I'm temporary here. I mean, I'm not a local person. Even if I like Macau, frankly, I like it. This is why I speak honestly, because if you love someone, you have also to be honest. I don't like hypocrite. I mean, they say, oh, yes, it's good, and then behind the back, they are saying very bad things. Because I love this place and I love my students.
And you want to make a change because you see a lot of talent.
I would like that, you know, sometimes when I'm here, I think, I've done things really nice with my students, really, that the people also is surprised. And what they say, you know, is indeed very bad. They say, oh, yeah, they are very good for Macau. You know, this for Macau, it means that Macau don't deserve to have things at this level. But this is not true, of course. In Macau, my students are best students I have ever had, the best. It's just that they need to find good people to train them. Of course, in Macau, there are also teachers dedicated and they do their best, but in my opinion, they are not enough. You know, there are some teachers really good and they local also teacher. They struggle to get the best, but first they are not enough. And usually they are the most humble, the one that are always open to learn and to listen and to open themselves to the world. But the majority is not like this.
So what about the music education programs that you have currently?
Okay, so very shortly, in Santa Rosa de Lima, I am director of choral activities. So we have 3 choirs. We say the main choir is the secondary choir that already, we have a concert every month, basically every 2 months. And recently we were also invited to perform in the Carnegie Hall in New York, so for the level of the choir. So it's really good. And then we have the little choir that also, they have their programs. In Our Lady of Fatima in Toisan, I'm the director of musical activities, and I collaborate with the teacher for the curriculum. I write a new curriculum, and then recently, with the help of all teachers, students, and the school management, we put this musical, A Mother's Art, that was really a big achievement, a big event, and we are producing a movie about that.
Thank you so much, Maestro Aurelio Porfiri. Thank you so much for speaking with us today, and I believe, people who have heard us today will definitely have more information about the music industry and the education as well.
Thank you for having me.
And to you at home, thank you for watching. We will see you again next week with another guest.